Hello, everybody, and welcome to a Web and Beyond Live for May 31st, 2022. I'm Ray Sidney Smith. I am president of W3 Consulting and managing director of W3C Web Services, which provides affordable web and WordPress hosting. We do domain name registration, if I could say it, and other web-related services, primarily for small business. Of course, Web and Beyond Live is my opportunity each week to talk about topical and timely small business digital marketing and related issues. This week is the social network updates episode, and we've kind of rebranded this to be the What's New in Social Media segment or episode each month. But if you're watching via the live stream or the replay, if you're listening to the podcast, you can always feel free to ask questions either in the chat section on YouTube or on Facebook on the post on Facebook, or you can tweet at me at W3 Consulting on Twitter. And so, welcome everybody. And so, as I said before, this week we are covering all of the social network updates. We have a lot of material to cover, so I'm going to get right into it. We're going to cover this in kind of in order of what I have in my system. So I have first all of the meta stories, then I'll cover TikTok, then LinkedIn, then Snapchat, then Twitter, YouTube, and then smattering of all the other networks that are kind of available to us. So let's get right into the news with our first item in the meta news. And so let me go ahead and bring this up on screen for you all. In essence, Meta has recently announced a new privacy center, which is really to help the users, of course, deal with privacy and security. And so I don't want to belabor the subject. I just think it's really good for them to be putting this work in. And now there is a new privacy center that users will be prompted both on their mobile devices as well as on the desktop to figure out what is going on and where. And again, this is one of those cases where I think it's a good thing for businesses to support privacy and security of users and engage them in the process, because the likelier you are to or that the more you go ahead and engage them in the process, the likely you are to have them not block you. So it's just good for you to go out there and say, hey, by the way, we know that privacy and security is important to us, and we want to make sure you're secure, so go out and figure out what you need in terms of security and go get that done. All right. Next up is Facebook put out a some updates to the Facebook Pixel, and nothing that is really of importance to you. But Sprout Social put together this wonderful Facebook Pixel guide, and so I just wanted to let you all know that this exists, and you should check it out. So it's in the link in the show notes, and it's available to you there. But if you've ever had any questions about the Facebook Pixel, this guide should be able to help you figure those pieces out. All right. And if my system wants to work with me today, I seem to be having some technical difficulties this morning, trying to go live and all that other fun stuff. So let's see if I can get this to work. All right. Next is Meta in complement to their privacy center, the new launch of the privacy center. They've also put together an updated privacy policy. And so, as always, I recommend that you go ahead and check out their privacy policy. This is formerly known as their data policy, and now they've just rebranded it all as their privacy policy. And I just highly recommend that you go out there and read it. There's nothing of great change to it. There's some plain language changes that have been made there, but it's just really important that you know what it says and how it collects and uses that data within it, not just for yourself as a user and as a business, but also so that when customers come to you and have those questions, which they inevitably will, you can go ahead and speak about it from your terms, from the business perspective terms. All right. Um, I don't know why I'm having so many. All right, there we go. This is a bit of old news, but it happened in May, and in terms of the major announcement, I just wanted to let everybody know about it, which is that Facebook has decided to shut down its podcasting services. It says it's a podcast platform, but I really don't consider it a platform. All it was resharing your podcast feed to the Facebook mobile experience. They didn't bring it to the desktop experience, and that's probably why it died, because most Facebook users, while they're on mobile, the majority of those folks who are experiencing Facebook in older generations and really consuming probably a lot of that content are doing that in some mix of mobile and desktop. And so Facebook went ahead and cut the podcast platform off. So I think as of June, something or other, they're basically, turning off the services. June 3rd is when the platform will close. So if you didn't know about it, nothing lost. If you did know about it and you had it set up, it will cease to function on June 3rd. But really, no great loss, to us in the podcasting world. Facebook didn't really have their heart in it to begin with. All right. Next up is that Instagram has changed some of their video ads. And so now you have some new options within video ads. I can't get into the particular details today just because we have so much news, but I do want you to go ahead and check out the in stream video ads that are now available within Instagram. So now you have this ability to do in stream videos. And that's just a really, really good new option so that you can basically put video ads into videos that are already playing, which is kind of what YouTube does. When you have those interstitials where you'll be watching a video and then an ad will play and then the video will continue. They're doing something similar here with the Instagram ads in stream videos. All right. Next up in our news, I'm not quite sure why I'm having so many delays in the loading of these things. This was an article from Hootsuite, and they talked about the best Instagram reel length for maximum engagement. And I thought this was really interesting in terms of a dialogue. And so Instagram Reels has kind of gone back and forth in terms of how long an Instagram reel can actually be, as short as 15 seconds and up to a minute. But of course, we know that Instagram is testing. Some people have seen 3 minutes, some people have seen even longer video lengths for reels than that. And so what Hootsuite attempts to do here is to kind of give you some data underlying it and saying, okay, based on that, your ideal length should be, X to Y. Of course, Instagram says 15 to 60 seconds long. And again, like I said, we've been seeing more tests of longer than that. But based on Hootsuite's own data, you're seeing that some of these Instagram lengths is are longer than that, and says 7 to 15 seconds is a good time for short reels, but others are saying that they're seeing longer reels perform just as good. And somewhere down in the article they talk about that in essence they're seeing some longer reels perform better. From my perspective, and I think the article kind of touches on this to some great extent, it's not really about how long the Instagram Reels is. It's that in the first couple of seconds of the video, you immediately tell people what the value is of why they're going to watch that reel. And two is that whatever happens in the video is substantively useful to the individual, right? It matters much more to me that you're going to provide something of great substance and that it's going to be entertaining, it's going to be persuasive, it's going to be, of an informative nature. That's way more important to me in the reel than whether or not it's 15 seconds or 20 seconds or even 60 seconds long in nature. So again, I still recommend kind of reading through this because this is helpful for people to get an understanding of the context. But the reality is that the length of the Instagram reel is not as important as the value out there. Okay, continuing along in the Meta Instagram space. Meta has gone ahead with Instagram, launched a pop-up shop in pop-up boutique, like basically a shop in New York City. This is the first of its kind, and it is now in its third year. And so I think that's just really interesting to know that Instagram is and has been testing this concept of going, navigating between e-commerce and then of course in the in-person traditional pop-up shop kind of space. But if you're in New York or in the area, you happen to visit it, definitely check it out and let me know what it's all about. I'll be in New York probably in late June, early July, and I'm going to probably stop in and check it out myself. All right, next up is Instagram made some notifications about how they are increasing accessibility. They're doing this probably in light of Global Accessibility Awareness Day, which happened earlier this month. And so they're talking about things that they're doing to help make their Instagram platform more accessible for visual people with visual impairments and people who live with hearing loss. And so good on Instagram for putting that kind of front and center in that sense. Instagram also got a little bit of a refresh recently. So they got a new typeface. They're calling Instagram Sans. I was playing around and looking at the various options, and you can kind of see what it looks like on screen right now if you're watching the video. But I didn't really see much of a change. I'm sure that typeface and font aficionados will be like, "Ooh, there's all kinds of new stuff here," but I really didn't find anything dramatic about it. It seems readable, it seems understandable, and they're just making some visual refreshes there. All right, and I'm going to skip this little bit of news. I'll put that in the show notes because it's really not contextually important here, and we're going to move on to TikTok. And so we've got a number of TikTok updates. As you all are probably aware, TikTok has garnered a great deal more attention in recent years, and has really come to the fore in terms of commanding presence and all kinds of other things. And there's good and bad reasons for that. And I myself am not particularly active on TikTok personally, just because I am concerned about its effects on me. Plus, it's owned by the basically a Chinese company that the Chinese government has their grubby little hands on, and so I am a little bit sensitive to that reality factor there. But TikTok is driving a lot of traffic, and so we want to make sure that we are aware of what TikTok is doing. TikTok has gotten into gaming, and so now they are launching video games. I'm not going to get into any more of it just because of time, but just know that TikTok is now doing games. They're kind of challenging Netflix in that same space to do games. TikTok has also started something called TikTok Live subscriptions. And so Live subscriptions is now something that seems to be in beta. The new program is called Live Subscription, and it was announced earlier last week. And the idea is that if you're a creator on TikTok, you can now have people basically subscribe to content. It's very similar to how other programs are. There are eligibility requirements. It's all listed here on this article. I definitely suggest you check it out if you are doing TikTok content and you're interested in doing TikTok live subscriptions. This one is just really, really exciting to me, just because you know how much of a fan of WordPress I am. But TikTok has created a WooCommerce plugin to allow I'm sorry, Instagram, TikTok shops to connect to WooCommerce. So now all of your TikTok shop components can now integrate into your WooCommerce, so you can synchronize the catalog with your WordPress site. So we're having this like tight integration between your normal web presence, right? If you have a WordPress website, with your TikTok presence, your TikTok profile. I think this is really, really smart of TikTok, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of what they do with this particular feature set with the WooCommerce plugin that's out there. All right, next up is the concept of measuring on TikTok. I came across this interesting TikTok for Business blog article, and they talk about how they actually are measuring, how they are doing all of this, kind of. Um, uh, they basically set up a framework for measuring on TikTok, and they use three different buckets, right? Uh, they call it be safe and seen, build performance, and analyze impact. And again, I'm not going to get into the details here just because it's a lot of material, but I would highly recommend that you check this out because it's really interesting to see how TikTok perceives its business content and how it measures its own business content in relationship to its audience. TikTok has also put out an article around, in essence, how they deal with entertainment in and on the platform. Again, I didn't find the article to be useful to me in the immediate sense, but it is interesting to see how they deal with basically the entertainment space in the TikTok kind of flavor of things. But they give some really good generalized, advice, right? Like you want to be able to brand, build trust, and of course be relevant to your audience. And they give some key takeaways here for you to be able to do that. Making sure that you're doing TikToks that are entertaining, right? And TikTok is really about entertainment, right? It's an entertainment focused platform. So even if you're doing some level of substance in terms of a product or service-based business, you still have to build in some level of entertainment into it, and the entertainment value can be different based on the business, but you just have to really keep that in mind, that people are there to be entertained. And so education needs to be in line with that entertainment piece. Although I will say that I've been seeing more and more just talking to the camera, you know, type TikToks that are really performing well. And so, there is a balancing act there in that sense. TikTok also introduced audiences to uh, basically the concept of um, being fed new information. And so you get a lot of really interesting new um, what do you call it? Uh, you get new audience, new discovery in a way that you don't get on other platforms. Maybe Instagram Reels today gives you a little bit more of that in some sense, but just remember that you are relating to a brand new audience most of the time. These people are people who are coming across you who don't know you yet. So you have to immediately kind of establish authority and then immediately build that trust and relevance with them in those first few seconds of the video. And so just remember how that kind of works on the Instagram platform. Um, all right, a couple of other announcements regarding TikTok. TikTok will basically be the 2022 presenting sponsor of the LA LGBTQ plus Pride Parade, and so good for them for being inclusive and all that other fun stuff. And then TikTok has also added a new functionality to be able to credit creators. So whenever you are creating TikToks and you're basically resharing other people's content, it's good for you as a business to be able to give credit to the people who are creating that content. Here, you're able to now tap the video button. You can automatically give credit to those folks with the click of a button, and then go ahead and mention them in the caption and otherwise. So this is really, really great. I think that it's actually just the right thing to do, but it's also useful just from a CYA perspective, that TikTok is giving better tools for businesses specifically, I think, to be able to give credit to the creators of videos. All right, moving right along in some of these news items. There's a bunch of other stories in here, so I'm gonna skip some of them so that you can go ahead and check them out in the show notes. But one of the things that I thought was really interesting is that TikTok has launched a new, basically, um, a monetization process for creators. And so if you go to this branded mission page that they have here dedicated to creators, it basically gives you all of the various pieces for their promotional campaign for creators to partner with brands. And so, if you are creating content, even if you're a small business, there may be other folks out there who are interested in partnering with you that are larger brands, and those types of collaborations can potentially bring many, many more eyeballs to your business and to your brand. So, certainly worth looking at. Okay, I'm just running through these articles here. And so this one's really important. So it was just announced that the TikTok has been added to a bunch of social media management platforms. It's calling it the Marketing Partners Program. And so now, just like you're able to schedule your videos and other content through other platforms like Hootsuite and Sprout Social and Later and Sprinkler and others, there are these defined platforms. I think they have 8 today, 9 to 8 today, and they are going to probably expand over time. But the 8 platforms are, as I said, Hootsuite, Later, Chorus, Amplify, Sprout Social, Dash Hudson, Sprinkler, and Brandwatch. And all of them are now going to be giving you the ability to schedule your TikToks in those platforms, but also see the material, interact with the videos, and so on and so forth from those dashboards, which, from my perspective, is just really, really powerful, being able to work from a desktop experience for those things. All right, we're going to move right along now to our LinkedIn segment. And in the LinkedIn segment, I have just a few stories I'm going to touch on just because of time, but I wanted to run through some of these things. First and foremost, there are a couple of articles in here from Social Media Examiner on creating an automated sales funnel within LinkedIn, how to set up the creator mode in LinkedIn for marketers. So definitely check those pieces out. I'm not going to cover them because you can just go ahead and read them. And LinkedIn has and always does puts out a bunch of really good articles and other things that are just available for you to be able to check out. LinkedIn goes ahead and provides basically a report on how Insights works, and so they put this out, and it's just really helpful. They're publishing all of this content about how the algorithm works, how they're posting content, and how you can kind of see what's going on in the system. And I thought it was really interesting in terms of like they noted here it says LinkedIn has traditionally provided a heap of insight on this, hence this new initiative, but it previously noted that dwell time is really important. That's the amount of time people kind of spend on a particular post. It says that LinkedIn posts with double spaced text, and it's being penalized. So if you double space text, um, which is like some kind of gray hat hacking technique I've never heard of before. They basically penalize that, which is really good to kind of keep in mind. And it says that posts which expressly ask or encourage users to engage via likes or reactions will be diminished in its reach. Totally makes sense. You shouldn't be kind of leading people to do things. They should do it out of its nature, out of the nature of the quality of the post. And it says now taking active steps to limit the amount of polls that users see in stream. So the fact of the matter is that they're clearly seeing too many people using polls, and so they're basically pushing them down in the feed in that sense. So just like keep that in mind in terms of things. And LinkedIn also shared some new insights regarding in-mail messages. I think that's just like a thorny space right now because I'm getting a whole bunch of these messages constantly coming into my LinkedIn in-mail, and it makes actually responding to the legitimate messages really difficult. So I'm hoping that LinkedIn does some work to figure that out. LinkedIn also published this new guide for employer branding, and this is for you if you're looking for new employees and if you're out there, wanting to make sure that your business looks appropriate to people when they are going to check out your business, to apply to it, and so on and so forth. This new guide gives you some guidance on how to make your company profile look good for potential candidates. Uh, LinkedIn is also providing live captions starting soon for audio events. So this is really great, I think, for a lot of folks who want to make their content accessible and available to many more people. LinkedIn has something that are called audio events, which are basically audio only events on the platform, so you can go live and be audio only, and now they're providing real-time captions. Just as a complete side note, if you're using any of the Chromium based browsers, Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge, Brave, and the others, there is a feature that you can turn on in the Chrome settings that will activate live captioning. So if you have any folks who you want to kind of get in front of and you are using a platform that doesn't have live captioning, make sure that you let your hearing impaired audience know that they can turn that and activate that feature so that they can be, uh, you know, that they can read what is being said, but just know that this is now available. And they are also giving custom URL listings on creator profiles, meaning that if you're a creator, you're now able to create a new custom URL for your profile, which is really also very nice. So looking forward to seeing that come to pass. All right. LinkedIn is testing the idea of releasing a quote unquote funny reaction to the system. So today you currently have the thumbs up, you have the clapping reaction, you have the support reaction, which is the hand with the heart. You also have the heart reaction, you have the insight action, and you have the curious emoji reaction as well. Now they're planning to add a seventh reaction, and that'll be the funny reaction. And it's kind of like, laughing at something or noting that something is funny to you when you see a post. I think it's good for us to have the additional um, you know evocative emotions available to us on the platform. So good on them for doing that. LinkedIn recently launched a new newsletter called In the Loop, and this is a newsletter talking about uh, conversations and topics and trending things that are happening on the platform. And this is all for you to figure out how to best utilize the trends that are happening on LinkedIn itself. So just good on them for launching that. So check it out if you're interested. And now it says this is the same news I just said earlier, which is that LinkedIn is adding basically a link to LinkedIn profile, so you can add this custom URL to your profile, which is just great. So you can just basically have more surface to be able to put a link on your profile, and you have to be in creator mode in order to do that. Okay. This is also about the algorithm changes that so LinkedIn, of course, has changed their algorithm. I talked about that a few articles ago, but there have been some algorithm changes, so definitely worth reading through the changes that have happened to the algorithm, and just kind of seeing why and how some of these things are being posted. Right. So LinkedIn obviously is looking for content that is useful and relevant and engaging for people to stay on the platform. And of course, they're going to show more of that to people when you do well by them in terms of keeping people on the site. All right. We are going to make our way through to Twitter now, and then to YouTube, and then just a few others pieces of content. So, first and foremost, Twitter announced on their business blog that they are piloting a new format for Twitter's ad suite. And so, what this means is that they are going to be giving advertisers a new basically set of ad formats so that they can do more storytelling and more interactive ads in on the platform. So they have three new formats. They are the interactive text format, meaning that the text will have kind of like a visual overlay and some buttons on them, like a little arrow, so you can click on it and be taken someplace. They have a product explorer, very similar to the way in which Instagram shows product overlays and kind of clicking on things and that kind of thing. And then collection ads, where you can collect different content together and see a collection of different products together. So you can kind of see those pieces of content all together in one place and tell a story, kind of like carousel ads on Facebook. So good on them for adding new formats for us to be able to utilize within those spaces. Twitter has also introduced this thing called super follows for spaces. In essence, you can now monetize the ability for people to go ahead and pay you as a creator, or for you to pay creators to be able to post content for them to be able to exclusively see within spaces. So they're just trying to continue to further monetize all of the various surfaces within the system. Twitter has also updated their API. So this is just a reminder that if you do use any Twitter apps, or if you have Twitter connected to your website, now is the time to go ahead and make sure that they are all still working, because whenever these API updates happen, the third-party app developers need to also keep up to date with those things so that they stay current. That may mean that some of your things may break, and you want to make sure that everything's still working. So I just say go check out anywhere you might have Twitter connected to make sure that it is all still making sense. Twitter has also launched a new mini site called Twitter Create. I have not seen this yet, and I'm pretty interested to see what this is all about. But the idea is that this is a new mini site that helps creators with monetization opportunities. And so if you go to create.twitter.com, you should see the new Twitter Create mini site. And it says here that it has all of the various kind of pieces for creators to be empowered to go ahead and monetize their content. So very interesting. They have a creator's card, a podcaster's card, folks in the news media, writers, sports, gaming creators, film and TV, music, and nonprofits. So definitely something to check out in terms of resources available to you from create.twitter.com. All right, we moved right through the Twitter news really quickly there. Thank goodness. Just a couple pieces of, or a few pieces of YouTube news, and YouTube is moving the placement of video comments. Normally, they fit and sit below the video. So if you're watching a video, at least on the desktop, you'll see that it flows below that. And now they are moving those comments to the right side of or to the side of the videos. So just know that when you are watching a video on the desktop, you're going to see those video comments now on the right hand side of the video, and of course, video comments that are happening on mobile are going to be below, basically the video content. So you'll see those comments right there below the content I don't know if that really is a change on mobile. Yeah, I think that that is still on mobile. If you turn, like, say, a tablet, into landscape mode, then the comments will basically snap to the right-hand side of the screen. But on desktop, definitely, if you're watching in normal mode, you're going to see the video comments now move to the top right-hand corner, which is really helpful. Next up, YouTube's official blog put out basically a set of tips for YouTube Shorts, basically helping people understand how to, uh, level up their YouTube Shorts. And they gave different examples of the various uh, creators they have doing these things. And so just really good, um, interesting shorts to watch in terms of how people are utilizing the shorts platform. Think of shorts as Instagram reels or TikTok videos. And so they, in essence, gave these different creators an opportunity to share how they are doing what they're doing in terms of increasing channel memberships and just using the various shorts in the ways in which they are. And I think of shorts as being just so much more, versatile in so many ways because it is on YouTube, and YouTube just gives you so many more tools to be able to extend beyond YouTube proper. You can take those YouTube shorts and put them in so many other places beyond where you can, take a TikTok or otherwise. And so I really like the idea of being able to utilize YouTube shorts. And I'm sure that YouTube is going to put more and more power behind that over time. This is one of those examples. YouTube has now put a new data tab within the YouTube analytics screen. So when you're in your YouTube analytics in your dashboard, you now see a new tab, and this is all for shorts, live streams, and posts. So you can now see these separate tabs for videos, shorts, live streams, and posts. So you can now separate that data out and see how to improve your exposure through YouTube Shorts and through live streams from those different data analytics. So good on, again, YouTube for putting that new information out there. All right, we're in the home stretch. We're going to cover some other network news, and then we will close out. So, first and foremost, Search Engine Journal put out this great top 10 social media sites and platforms of 2022. And I just wanted to run through them with you because I thought this was really interesting to kind of see where platforms currently are. So, first and foremost, as is to be expected, Facebook currently ranks at 2.9 billion monthly active users, meaning that each month a monthly active user means someone who comes to Facebook at least once a month, right? So 2.9 billion, so it's almost 3 billion people. At 3 billion people, we have about 7.5, maybe 8 billion people on the planet by last estimate that I know of. And so you're talking about, basically less than a half, but like we're almost getting there to about half of the planet being on Facebook.com alone. That's not including all of Meta's other properties in that sense. YouTube's at 2.2 billion, and they also are. You can see the massive amount of revenue. Facebook bringing in 86 billion dollars in revenue, and YouTube down at 30 billion in revenue. Then you have WhatsApp with 2 billion users. We have Instagram in fourth place at 2 billion users. TikTok at 1 billion users and 11 billion in revenue. So you can see the difference in how Facebook or Meta really controls that top, kind of five positions. They command Facebook and WhatsApp and Instagram. And so, there's probably a high level of overlap. But even if we just take a billion additional users from Instagram and WhatsApp, we're talking probably something like 6 billion users across the Meta platform. And, that's a huge number of people across the planet. I'm going to probably say between Instagram and WhatsApp, it's probably much less than that. So even if we say 3.5, 4 billion, users across all of the Meta platforms, 4 billion's half of the planet is on some kind of Meta platform, and that's a huge amount of revenues as well. You're talking 30 billion if you collect together WhatsApp and Instagram plus the 86 billion of Facebook, and so you're talking basically over 100 billion, over basically or more than a trillion in revenue just in the Meta platforms space. Okay, so Facebook, YouTube, WhatsApp, Instagram, TikTok in fifth place. Then we have Snapchat in sixth place, Pinterest in seventh place, Reddit in eighth place, LinkedIn coming out at nine, and rounding out number 10 is Twitter. And with a paltry 5 billion in revenue and 217 million users. But it also goes to show that you don't need a huge number of users, right? 217 million versus billions. It's not even at a quarter billion users, and it has this outsized role in both how much it refers in terms of traffic, both for logged in users and folks who are not logged in, and its focus on the media and how it's used in the media as much as it is. So even though it's a smaller network, it actually has this outsized role and voice in the community. So don't underestimate Twitter, even though it's down at that bottom. But I thought it was useful kind of seeing where all of the various networks kind of currently sit. Next up is Hootsuite put out this really interesting strategy article about AI powered content creation tools. And I'm just going to put up my usual warning, which is that Google specifically has said using AI generated text is against their content policy. So be mindful of that, that if you're going to use this, this can only be for kind of a first draft, because you're going to need to go over that with real human ingenuity in building out that content, because otherwise Google considers that uh, you know filler, basically faux content. But they give some options of different types of AI content creation tools and some ways to use them. Again, if you're interested, you can go ahead and check it out and kind of use them. But I just give the general warning that I bet that if Google thinks that about AI generated text, a lot of these social platforms also probably have a similar feeling about them, even if they're not known policies. Okay, Google has just announced new ad tools for being able to do YouTube Shorts promotions, and so the new layouts include a responsive display ad, and this is again they're taking advantage of the portrait style video content that's being produced, and being able to display that content in different ways and in different places. I'm interested to see how this new video ad placement concept is going to really look like. But I think this is really good. Google's integrating their Shorts placement into the video action and app campaigns section of Google Ads, and so just definitely worth checking out if you run Google Ads. There was a new survey out that looked at the top tools and apps used by digital marketing professionals, and you can pretty much figure out the various tools that are being used by all of them. But just for social media, Hootsuite, Buffer, BuzzSumo, HubSpot, and Iconosquare are kind of in that top five in terms of usage. For email campaigns, you can see all of the standard top campaign folks. For design, of course, Canva's at the top there, and then of course Adobe takes the second and third spots. And then Cap and Pictochart are also good tools that are out there. And it continues on with some other various tools. But really, Google Analytics, commands, data analytics, HubSpot commands project management. Would have never guessed that. But you have ProofHub, Asana, Airtable, and Trello. Underneath that, I thought that Asana and Trello would command a much larger percentage of project management among marketers, but it doesn't. And then Campaign Monitor, Constant Contact, Aweber, Active Campaign, and HubSpot command the top five in terms of email campaigns. Also, a little bit, kind of shocking to me, but this depends on whether they uh, surveyed just corporate marketers or otherwise, and all kinds of different things going on or in that space. Nextdoor is now going to be basically pushing a little bit of behavioral notifications to users about keeping conversations constructive and empathetic, and just trying to make the conversations not be as negative. And so I think that's a good thing. I think all platforms should start doing that, is like take a deep breath, think before you post, and I think that's also a good message for us as business marketers, is that when you're marketing your business, when you're promoting your business, to make sure that you take a deep breath and don't just post emotionally. You should be posting methodically and consistently for your brand message, and not because of political, spiritual, ideological reasons. You're there to promote your business. You can spend your personal time talking about other things, and unless your business is really focused on those issues, you can just really focus on the things that are going to help bring a positive light to your business and a positive and productive conversation, as opposed to getting kind of mired in all of the weeds of some of these very charged context of conversations. WhatsApp has created a new communities tab, and this gives you the ability to go ahead and interact with people. If you're using WhatsApp Business, to be able to now engage people with this community tabs concept. You can think about it as like on YouTube channel. If you have 500 or more followers, you're capable of having a community tab where you can post content. Kind of the same thing. You can now post and message people who are following your business on that community tab with appropriate notifications. Okay, the next is the EU has gone ahead and proposed a new law called the Digital Services Act, and this would basically take big tech and moderate their ability to kind of shirk responsibility regarding misinformation and online ads. And so we'll see what happens. It's to be determined in terms of what's going to happen in this context. But the EU is working toward, kind of bringing this legislation to the table. So they seem to have reached a deal, and I think that it's going to try to deal with some of social media's societal harms. We'll see if it actually does, or whether it aggravates the symptoms and makes it worse. But the EU has really been and attempted to champion some of these big thorny issues that are being presented by big tech, and they did that with the GDPR, and now they're trying to do that with Digital Services Act. We'll see what happens. I think that we have to test and see what we can do to reform some of these societal ills that we're seeing. But it just goes to show that we're going to be dealing with more regulation, and sometimes worse regulation, as we try to come back toward some balance between it. Reddit has launched a new program, and this allows the host to have an audio platform on Reddit. And so this is going to be interesting. So it says that Reddit is inviting regular Reddit talk hosts to take part in the program to basically get some level of reward, some kind of rewards to the system. It says the talks will be promoted to relevant audiences at the top of Reddit and being promoted on Reddit's own social media channels. You'll get some swag and then of course exclusive access to the Reddit Talks community where you can chat with other hosts and the Reddit Talk product team. So again, they're just trying to challenge Clubhouse and the other audio spaces that are out there. Facebook has rolled their live audio rooms into their Facebook Live platform or Facebook groups or something like that. Recently, we have Twitter Spaces. We have Clubhouse. We have other platforms that are doing this. Reddit has created their own platform for that, and now they're trying to get more people to utilize the platform. And so I feel like this new host program is designed to be able to kind of encourage more folks to get on that. Last in my list was, if you've ever had a challenge coming up with social media content, this post is for you. It's a wonderful infographic and shows 81 different types of social media posts for you to utilize. And I mean, it goes into really great depth, but it has 9 different categories. I think that's 8 different categories. And the categories are engagement boosts, and I can't speak today, engagement boosts, favorites, expert status, getting personal, visuals, self-promotion, trending topics, and shout outs. And so in this social media content ideas cheat sheet, as they call it, they have each of those categories, and then they enumerate different bullet points with the types of topics you can post. And really, at 81 different types, you basically have, if you're doing daily posting, you just rinse repeat on this a few times a year, and you have plenty of content to be able to produce. So just taking one of these ideas and rotating through them can do really well by you. So just wanted to give you some ideas that if you are having some trouble coming up with content, this is a way to do it. This is just ideating the various ways in which you can go ahead and come up with topics. So that has been our social networks update episode, what we're calling What's New in Social Media episode for May 2022. And just a couple of announcements. One is that we have our next small business virtual roundtable, typically which happens on the first Tuesdays of the month, unless we otherwise note. But this one will be on Tuesday, June 7th. It's at 1:30 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be talking about how to get media attention in the digital age. So talking about public relations and publicity and dealing with the media. We're going to do that Zoom on June 7th at 13:30 or 1:30 p.m. Eastern on June 7th. Next, we have our Web and Beyond webinars. Our two webinars that are upcoming are an introduction to Google Analytics 4. So if you don't know what Google Analytics 4 is, it's a brand new version of Google Analytics, and they are sunsetting the current analytics, universal analytics, in July of 2023. And so we need to start getting those websites migrated and ready. So we're going to first do an introduction at the beginning of July. And so if you go to w3cinc.com/events, you can go ahead and register for that webinar. And let me just put that on screen for you. So w3cinc.com/events. If you're in Web and Beyond community, those events are in there for you to be able to RSVP to already. After that, 2 weeks later, we're going to do our next webinar. And that Web and Beyond webinar will be on migrating from Universal Analytics or UA to GA4 or Google Analytics 4. So we're going to do those two webinars back to back to help you understand what is Google Analytics 4, why would you want it, why would you need it, and then of course how to migrate if you're already using Google Analytics to the new Google Analytics 4, understanding how to generate the new properties, how to deal with data streams, and how to properly understand the data that you have that you're collecting from your website visitors so that you can create and have a better business. As I noted before, we have a community called Web and Beyond Community. And if you go to www.webandbeyond.community, you can go ahead and join us in the community. And there you have all of the events that we produce, and you can post and ask questions around Web and Beyond Live and other content and all that fun stuff. But either way, I wanted to thank you all for joining me here as we come to the end of this week's episode. If you've enjoyed the live stream, feel free to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Feel free to subscribe to our Facebook page if you're there on Facebook, or subscribe to our Twitter channel. We go live typically Mondays at 11 a.m. Eastern, unless we have holidays or we note otherwise on social channels. I want to thank you all for spending this Web and Beyond live with me. I'm Ray Sidney Smith on behalf of W3 Consulting and W3C Web Services. Have a great week ahead, marketing your small business on the Web and Beyond.